record it since I didn't do that already. And I will send a copy of this wonderful program to you within the next couple days so that you have an ability to watch it again if you want to. And then you'll be able to watch it again maybe the day before Thanksgiving when potatoes are burning or something or no one's picking up after themselves. I have 2 sons coming home for the holidays, so we'll see. We're good chefs though, so I'm going to have them do a lot of the cooking. So you will get that copy of it as soon as I get it uploaded to my YouTube channel. So with that being said, we still have some people joining us. I will make sure that Barb speaks from 12:20 to 1:20, then Jody Brown will speak. We'll do the question and answering, and I promise you we'll be done by 1:45. If by chance you have to leave, that's totally okay. If you have to get up and go to the bathroom, whatever else you need to do, you can put your live video on just your photo if that's helpful for you. And just before we start to do introductions, again, Barb asked the question, why did you join us today? Was there something specific that you were looking for out of this program? So if you want to put that in the chat box, that would be helpful to Barb. So with that being said, when I call your name, if you can just give your full name, your business name, if you have one, and where you're located, then anybody listening can take a look at that sales contact list that I sent to you this morning. And on the sales contact list is further information on how you can get a hold of women that are on this call. And for some of you who have never been on a Woman Ties call, I encourage women to call and contact 2 to 3 women that they've spent time with in order to see if they can connect further, if they can buy or sell to each other, from each other, if they can cross collaborate on a program. So just know that that sales contact list is useful and a good way for you to do some follow-up after this call is done. So with that being said, I think I'll just call your name, and if you can just again say your name, your business name or affiliation. If you don't have a business, that's okay. You can just say you don't have one and where you're located, and then we'll get started. So my sister-in-law, Kim, since you're up there without your mute button on, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. My name's Kim Higginbotham, and yes, Tracy's my sister-in-law, and I was really excited when she said this was going to be the topic because I'm a substitute teacher. So with everything going on, it's been a little bit crazy. So I guess I'm just looking for some ideas, and I live in Camillus. It's nice to meet everybody.
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks.
Teresa?
Hi, I'm Teresa Huggins from Clinton, New York, and I am in a reinvent who you are because my programs are live and I run weekend programs for women, week-long programs for teens, author, speaker. I'm currently writing and finishing the Empowered Wellness Journey, which helps people navigate diagnosis and life in general. And a story will be launched in December on that.
Perfect, thank you. Jill Bates?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jill Bates, and I'm in Rochester, New York, and I'm a real estate agent for Howard Hanna. And I'm here today because I appreciate what Barb has done with her writings and her book and all that, and always enjoy Tracy's get-togethers through Zoom, and happy to see everybody.
Thanks, Jill. I'm going to go to, oh, she just closed. I was going to go to Renee since she was there for a moment, but instead we'll go to Marlene.
Hi, I'm Marlene Fisher. I have a cleaning business. I'm not sure you're not interested in that. I'm a friend of Barbara's and have experienced experience a lot of her self-care help, and here to just connect further and get something for today. Okay, I'm upstate New York, Marion, New York.
Okay. There might be a lot of us right after Thanksgiving that would like your cleaning services. Feel feel free if you want to put how to contact you in the chat box.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Marlene. Carol Becker?
Hi, I'm Carol Becker. I live in East Aurora, New York, and my business is Reiki by Carol Ann. I do Reiki, but I have a corporate job during the day, so Reiki is for fun, and I'll hopefully be growing that soon. So I want to thank Barb for inviting me, friend, colleague, customer, friend. Did I mention friend? Thank you for inviting me. Nice to be here.
Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. I'm going to pop over to Renee since she's here for the moment. Renee?
Thank you, Tracy.
Welcome.
Hello, everybody. My name is Renee Nearpass. I'm a licensed acupuncturist. I have a private clinic in Fairport, New York, which is in Rochester area. And I live in Victor. It's good to see you all.
Nice to have you. I'm glad you could pop in. Linda? Fake? Oh, can't hear you, my love. Oh,
Here we go.
there you go.
Yeah, so you see my maiden name is now on my Zooms. I'm in the process of transitioning through a divorce. So I dropped the fake last name because it turned out he was that way too. I am an interior designer and own my own firm, and I do both residential and commercial work. And this is actually one of my spaces I just designed in Hinckley, New York. And I'm based in Utica, New York.
Beautiful. Say your last name so I know how to say it now.
Aloisio.
Aloisio.
Vanna, I would like to buy a vowel.
Okay. I'm so glad you could be here. I haven't seen you in a while. So
I know, it's good to see you too.
no, thanks for joining us. Sadie Ann?
Hi there. I'm Sadie Ann Spear. I'm in New Hartford, New York, and my business is A Strong and Healthy You. And I'm here because I really have always been into self-care, and I'm always looking for new ways of self-care for myself and to help others.
Awesome. Thank you. Jennifer Sutton? Oh. Jen Sutton? Can you unmute? Oh, there you go.
Thank you. I'm Jennifer Sutton from What If Wellness, and I also am very much into wellness programs, obviously. And I'm always curious, just like Sadie Ann, about what else is out there and how else I can use it for myself, because I'm really good at helping other people get out of fight or flight and stay focused on what they want and finding their joy. But I always, sometimes forget to do that for myself. So
Thank you for joining.
thank you.
Yes. Jane Paddington?
There we go. Hello, my name is Jane, and I am a coach. My business is called Breakthrough Consulting and Coaching. So as the name implies, the idea is to help people break through issues, problems, up to the next level, whatever your goal is. Primarily, I work with people in the workplace, but I'm doing a little bit of launching a little bit of new life coaching soon too. So I in Norwich, New York, which is between Binghamton and Utica.
Thank you.
And I work virtually.
Awesome. Thank you. Kim Pindina?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm having lunch, so you won't be seeing a lot of me because it's not polite. I help small businesses manage their cash flow, and I'm also a jewelry designer, making people feel special, and especially this time of year, making ladies feel pretty. So contact info's in the chat if you need anything. Kim Pindina, Pandaware.
At our live events, I've always let women be able to showcase products and services. And Kim, every time she has them, I buy a couple of pair of earrings. And so I've got a couple that I found that I had stashed away to give to some of the women in my life. Not you, Kim, because they're listening, but other female family members. So it's always a good thing to think about these women here, whether you could buy a certificate from somebody to give to somebody else, whether there's a product that they have, if they have a book. Feel free again on the chat section before you leave, if you have something that you would like people to know about that you're selling or offering for the holiday season or for 2021, to put it right in the chat box, and I'll send the chat notes along with the video recording by the end of the week. So with that being said, as you can see, this is why I love what I do. Fantastic women from all over the place gathered together. And so I am going to, I'm not going to do a formal introduction of Barb because it's not really a formal program. So I thought that I would just, I'm going to mute all of you, and I'm going to turn the program over to Barb, and I'll be back on in about an hour for us to continue with the program. So Barb, thank you for offering to do this, and I turn it over to you, my friend.
All right. Well, thank you, Tracy, very much. And thanks to Jody, who's not here yet, for sponsoring, but really do appreciate.
Oops.
Except I got muted. I'm unmuted now.
That was me. That was me. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm part of everyone, so that happens. Thank you. But thank you for offering this topic and letting me share what I am deeply passionate about. And I told Tracy I'd like to share a little bit of my story because I usually kind of gloss over it and allude to it as to why this is so important to me, at least in these forums. And I had a podcast interview yesterday, and I got to walk through my life for the last 11 years and remember why self-care is so critical to me. So in addition to being the founder of Inspired Possibility, which is my business where I help women come home to themselves, 11 years ago, addiction entered my family through my son. And so I often say I help moms of kids with addiction, and I kind of leave it there. You know, I say that's because that's been my journey. But I think it's important to note that that journey has not just been, it's been everything that that journey could possibly entail, other than he's still alive. But it has involved, sorry, a lot of emotion, a lot of hard times, and including making the decision to say, no, you cannot live with us any longer when he was 18 years old, even knowing that meant he was going to be homeless. It has involved many hospital stays. It has involved inpatient, outpatient, jail, overdoses, a lot of near-death experiences, and fear of death. So as I look back at my life over this time, I go, okay, it's kind of amazing that I have made it through, and self-care and the practices that I'm going to offer up to you have been a vital part of that. I don't think I would have started doing the work that I'm doing had it not been for that. I would not have been able to start a business and write a book and do amazing things at the same time that my world is falling apart, and come to learn that those things can coexist. So I just wanted to give some context that there's a reason I really, really care about this. It's not just a fluffy good idea to me. It is the watch, you know, it's a buzzword of the day, and I think it's often misunderstood and overused. So I want to talk today about like deep self-care and true self-care that really can sustain you. And the title was, you know, that can sustain you in these times. And so as I look at these times, I think about the chaos that we're living in right now, the turbulence, the uncertainty with no light at the end of the tunnel. And that is what it's like to live and love someone with addiction. So I know that uncertainty. I know the ability to show up to life even when you don't know when it's going to end or if it's going to end. And that's what the pandemic is like. And that's what all the things, I don't need to name the things that we're going through. You are aware of them, I am sure, in addition to whatever your personal things are. So it feels like an even more important time to bring this out to the world. So I am really, really grateful to be able to be here. So before we go any further, I want to invite you all just to take a moment to land. This is how I start all of my coaching sessions and all of my group work. Let's close your eyes if that's comfortable. Feel your feet on the ground, feel your seat in your chair, and let yourself land. And this is also one of my favorite self-care tools, which is just to pause and breathe, but to interrupt that flow. So feeling yourself get heavy, find your breath wherever it is in your body at this moment. And just arrive, letting go of whatever was going on before this moment, letting go of anything that's to come later on, and give yourself the gift of really being present right now. So if that means you need to turn off your phone or you need to turn off notifications on your computer, I really invite you to do that. And treat this like a little mini retreat, 1 hour for you. Some of you already said, I'm really good at helping other people with these things, but I don't always do it for myself. And so if you're here for yourself, give yourself the gift of your time. Give yourself the gift of your presence. And so if you'd like, you can open your eyes. If you want to just keep your eyes closed and listen, that's totally fine too. But I want to offer, just some background of why we're doing this. And we've already touched on this idea of living in the uncertainty and chaos. And that can really throw us into what I call the spin cycle of reactivity, where we find ourselves just going around and around and talking about everything that's wrong, personally or with the world, and revisiting and reigniting the chaos in our own mind, in our own stories, giving it life, right? Re-energizing it. Everything there is to be angry about, everything there is to worry about, all of the fears. And you don't have to go far to find somebody who's willing to feed that with you, right? I mean, just click on Facebook or open the news for 2 seconds. You've got people wanting to feed your fear and your worry and your anxiety. You could be reeling in the grief for what's been lost. I mean, again, personally, collectively, there's a lot of it out there. And it can be really hard to imagine a better future. So we actually have to get out of the spin cycle. We have to pause. We have to interrupt it so that we don't just keep going down this same spiral, down, down, down. And so I know some of you personally, I don't know some of you personally, but I feel fairly confident in the things that I intuit about you. You're here, and you're here, and you have a business, or you have other ways of showing up in the world where you're supporting other people. And if you don't take any of these as true to you, then fine, just don't. But my guess is that we care deeply. We give generously. We are strong. And perhaps we are so strong that we push through and we persevere even when it's not realistic. And we forget that we're not superheroes. The stress and the responsibility that we take on is killing us. And I don't say that lightly. Anything, I'm not big into the science and the research, but I hear enough to know that stress actually really is a serious health issue. And we have some health professionals here who I think can attest to that. And we just function in a way that is unsustainable over time. So that's the other thing. We move at a pace. We live in a world that encourages us to move at a pace, to keep driving and striving and accomplishing and achieving and raising the bar. And we do things that are not sustainable. So a lot of the women that I work with hit their mid-years and go, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want to hit that breakdown. I would like to actually choose a different way. And that's great. But if you don't notice it, life will likely deliver you the blow that says, okay, it's time to take a break because this is unsustainable. Many of us focus all of our time, energy, and resources on other people, our businesses, our clients, our family. And we know that we will do whatever it takes to help them. I mean, I've heard some of you on this call say, I'm available 24/7. I'm thinking about my business 24/7. That's a lot. That's not sustainable. It's well-intentioned, it's kind, it's generous, it's loving, and it's not going to work for a long time. So I want to get you to offer yourself that same loving consideration and care. And that's the good news. If you're already a kind and generous and loving person and you know how to do that for other people, the trick is to turn it on yourself, which is not easy because we're not taught to do that. There's very little in our society that says it's actually okay to do that or invites you or encourages you to do that. So I want to stress that what we're looking at is countercultural. It takes a lot of courage, it takes vulnerability. And sometimes we wait and we put our lives on hold until the stars align, until I've saved enough money, until my business is where I want it to be, until my family members are okay, whatever. We're waiting for something, and then we'll get to our self-care. Then we'll start living our life. then it'll be okay to have some fun. Then maybe I can think about the idea of a peaceful moment. And I want to encourage you not to wait, because life is happening right now in this moment. And we think that self-care is something to get to after all the other boxes have been checked. Like it's the icing on the cake. I got to do all the other things. I got to take care of everybody else, and then I'll get to me. And one of my friends was in one of my presentations, and she said that was the tipping point for her when she heard me talk about this as it's not the icing on the cake, it's the foundation. It's the foundation of your home. It's the foundation of your being. So for all that you want to create in the world and all the great things you want to do and be, if you don't have that foundation of self-care to hold you, there's not going to be a second floor or a first floor even. It's going to collapse. You won't get to the icing on the cake because everything's going to fall apart. So it's not about doing all the things and meeting all the goals and then rewarding yourself with this. Like you don't have to earn self-care. It's your right to take care of yourself. It's your right to love yourself and give yourself what you need. And I think a lot of us know that it's important. There probably isn't a single one of you here who wouldn't say, I know self-care is important, but maybe I don't really know what it means, or I don't really know how to add this into my life that is already so full with a to-do list that will never end. And so it feels like one more burden. It feels like one more heavy thing that I have to take on. And now I have to do self-care, and I have to look at the end of the day, and then I have to beat myself up because I didn't do self-care, right? I see some smiles. So yeah, I don't want it to be one more to do in a world where you feel you cannot take on one more thing, but I want this to be a priority thing so that you can do the other things. And I think you'll find and I just really want to honor you for making the time to come here for this time, because lots of times this doesn't feel like a good use of time. This doesn't feel productive. This doesn't feel like it's earning you money. This doesn't feel like I'm creating. So why am I giving myself this hour? But you did. So yay, first step. I think what you'll find is the more you invest in your self-care, the more the other things will take off. I told Tracy, maybe we should have called this the best ROI you could ever make is your self-care, because I really do believe that. I know that. So let's bust some myths about self-care. Number one, I'm sure you have heard this or felt it. Self-care is selfish. To which I simply say no. And funny, Jody and I had a call the other day, and she shared this quote with me, and this quote was already in my plans, Jody. So this is one I use a lot. It's from Audre Lorde, who was a strong activist. And she said, caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. And I believe the last part of that is actually, it is an act of political warfare. And in this time where there's so much activism being called for, and I've been on some trainings with people around this, the one thing that they're still saying is, if you don't take care of yourself, don't show up to my protest. You got nothing to give. Stay at home and take care of yourself first. Get filled up and then come show up and be an activist, be an ally, do the work. You got to do the work on yourself first. So the next one is that self-care looks a certain way all the time. And I think we can get into habitual things and routines, and we think, well, this is my self-care. This is what I always do. And so I want to shift that up and say, no, at different times in your life, at different times in the day, at different times in the week, or, in your situation, you're going to need different things. So if you're just doing the things, and people will say to me sometimes, well, I did all the things, I don't understand, I still don't feel good. It's like, yeah, because you're just checking boxes. You're not actually tuning into what you actually need in the moment. And sometimes self-care is getting really peaceful and zen, and sometimes self-care is getting in the car, turning up the music loud, and screaming your lungs out. So it's what energy is in you. What does it need right now? There's another belief that caring for yourself somehow takes away from someone else. And if you were to say that out loud, you could probably even intellectually say I know that doesn't make any sense. But there is that underlying belief that somehow if I take care of me, I am not taking care of you. Somehow I'm cheating someone else. And what I'll say to that is it's actually beneficial for all. And I know the women who have come to my retreats over time, when they come repeatedly, will report that husbands, family members sometimes say, isn't it time for a retreat again? Don't you want to go meditate? Shouldn't you go to your yoga? So people start to see the benefits of this. They're like, when you're doing better and you're rolling better and feeling better and a little more steady, that's good for everybody. It ripples out far and wide, and your relationships actually deepen. You know, you actually can have better relationships with other people when you are taking the time to love and care for yourself first. And we don't think that. We think we're looking outside for all of that, but we got to start here. And you're also better able to serve and support other people. So if you have these big missions or little missions, big and small ways that you're helping other people, it has to start with you. There's another belief that self-care is expensive and time-consuming and just one more to do, as I've already said. And I don't want it to be any of those things. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be time-consuming. It can be super simple and doable. So just open to that possibility. There's another belief that it is wrong to love yourself as much as you love others. And that's really what this comes down to, is loving yourself at least as much as you love all the other people so generously. But we're not given messages that that's okay. Be a nice girl, be good, take care of them, be kind. Who can you help today? So let's lose that conditioning. That's my only response to that. No. Putting on your own oxygen mask. We often hear this in the self-care world. And we tout it like, yeah, you know, you got to put on your own oxygen mask. And I'm going to bust that bubble too, because that's not enough. Because the oxygen mask is all about helping someone else. Even that message is really not to take care of yourself. Put on your mask so then you can save the person next to you. It's not clean, pure. It's okay just to take care of you. And I think that's interesting because we say it all the time, and it's not enough for me. I want you to take care of yourself just because that's enough. That's end, period. There's a myth that you can soldier on indefinitely without ever tending to your needs. You've probably done it. I have pushed through things that I didn't think I could push through. I'm sure you have too. What I will tell you is at some point, epic depletion is going to catch up with you beyond what you can push through. It's that soul level depletion that is way more than the surface level stuff. Then there's this idea that if other people are suffering, I should suffer and struggle. If the world is suffering, this is not the time to take care of me. If somebody I love is suffering, this is not the time to take care of me. It feels wrong. And I heard Wayne Dyer say years ago, there is not enough suffering that I can take on that will alleviate anyone else's suffering. If it were, my son wouldn't have been on this path for 11 years. I would have taken it all on and he'd be good. I'd probably be dead, but he'd be good. But no, your suffering doesn't make anything any better. So it's truly okay to live your life, to find peace, to find joy, to follow your dreams, even when the world's falling apart, even when your kids are struggling, even when your partner's having a hard time. It's okay, and it's healthy, and it's necessary. It frees you and everyone else, actually, when you disconnect from that, as being caught up in somebody else needing to be okay in order for you to be okay. It's not really healthy for either one of you. And then the last one I already touched on, but it's this idea that self-care is not a productive use of my time. I need to be doing something. And I've had that conversation with clients. They're like, well, I didn't really do anything. Well, I did these self-care things. Do those count? I'm like, absolutely those count. Because again, that's laying the foundation. That's critical work. That's so important. So to think more creatively and think about it. Think about when you are stressed and frenzied and overwhelmed and burnt out. How creative are you? How good at problem solving are you? How many new ideas do you have? How much energy do you have to give to anything, right? I mean, there's something about really being nourished and filled up so that you can be more productive, have a mindset that actually thinks freshly, can be present. So when you honor yourself, when you slow down and give yourself time to simply be, you're actually creating that spaciousness for inspiration to come in. You're open to receive new insights, to see a fresh perspective, whether from another person or you just get your own hit, and to be healthy enough to do something with them when they do come. Because if you're at that point of burnout and you get a new idea, great, but who's got the energy to give it to do anything with it? So it's really, really critical. So what is self-care? I look at self-care holistically as body, mind, heart, and spirit. And I think a lot of times, some of you have already heard that idea or have that idea yourself and probably share it with other people all the time. But I think we know really well the physical part, right? We know we need to eat better and get enough rest and drink enough water and exercise, all those things. But we don't always think about the mind, the heart, and the spirit. I'm going to say self-care is also a way of life. So the more, like, it's just part of who I am now. Now that I have immersed myself in this, it's not something I have to think about or work at. It's just automatic for me to tune in with myself and know what I need. It's an ongoing practice. Okay, so just like meditation is a practice, your mind wanders, you forget, you come back. The practice. It's not something you're going to get done and check off the list and go, got self-care, I'm good. Let me move on with the next 50 years of my life. Sorry. You have to keep revisiting it. But part of that practice is cultivating the heart that can hold it all. So like I said earlier, you know, I have both joys and sorrows existing at the same time. I have worries and hopes existing at the same time, and so do you. So it's not even about making room for it. It's already there. It's just knowing that your heart can hold it even when your mind can't make sense of it. Because our mind wants it to be black or white, good or bad, and all or nothing, right? We don't want to live in that in-between place. That's really uncomfortable. But that is the messiness of being human and the messiness of this life. It's really getting solid in your own core so that you can stand firm in the midst of the chaos. So when the hurricane is spinning around you, you're not that leaf that's going to get blown away so easily from thing to thing. You're solid. Brandi Carlile has a great song called The Eye, and she says, you can dance in the hurricane, but only if you're standing in the eye. And I go to that all the time because I feel like I've lived in a hurricane, and it's finding that strong, solid center. And to me, self-care is really about cultivating a new, loving, kind, and compassionate relationship with yourself. I've already talked about that idea of loving yourself, you know, the way that you love others, but really getting to that place where this is coming home to yourself is safe, because home is a welcoming place, a kind place. It's not where the inner critic runs the show, or the inner asshole, as Jen Pasteloff calls it. There's a kind voice there to greet you and love you. It's meeting yourself in your life where you are moment by moment. So again, like recognizing different times of life, we have a different bandwidth, we have different capacity. So knowing what that is and welcoming yourself and saying, it's okay, sweetie, right now you're really struggling. Right now you're exhausted, and you know what? You need to take a week off. It's okay. But giving yourself that permission. It's the fuel for your life force energy. And I want you to remember that you are the gatekeeper of this precious, limited life force energy that you've been given. My husband likes to say, we only get so many heartbeats. We don't know how many, though. That's the trick. And somebody just said to me today, actually, if I knew when I was going to die, it would be great, because then I could budget out my money and my time and all the things. But we don't know. We only know that it's precious, and we know that we have it right now. And so you are the gatekeeper of that energy. It's taking a stand to have your own back and being your own best friend. One of my mantras is, I will not abandon myself. And that holds me, you know, and people who like affirmations have challenged me and said, can't you say that in a positive way? And I'm like, no, because you know what, that is my stake in the ground, that I will not abandon myself. I feel the strength in that. You come up with your own. If you like that one, borrow it, use it. I would love to scatter that freely to all the women in the world. But really, so that when I'm in a situation, as someone who has for most of my life thought about everybody else and been the caretaker and been the one to put everyone else's needs first, there's going to be a tension that arises within me when somebody else's needs bump up against mine. If I'm not conscious and aware, and I don't have this idea that I will not abandon myself, most likely I will abandon myself and I will take care of your needs and I'll get back to me, maybe. So that doesn't mean I'm going to say, the heck with you, I don't care about you anymore, but I'm not going to abandon myself to take care of you. So if I'm not in a place where I have something to give you, I can honestly say that. So what I would say is self-care honestly makes you trustworthy. You become that person that people will know if they ask you to do something, they don't have to worry about asking you, trying to figure out if you're saying yes, but you don't really mean it. they can count on you to take care of yourself. And if you say yes, they can trust that yes. That was a big insight for me. It's a tough one too. And when you have friends that you have trained in this stuff and they say to you, I'm not available to be a friend right now, even when you say, I really need a friend right now, that's really tough. But I can also really respect it. And all I can say is, okay, I'll go on to the next friend. So become that trustworthy person. It's a great gift to everyone. And something that really resonates with most people when they hear this, it's treating yourself as well as you treat your cell phone. And what do I mean by that? When the cell phone battery turns red and says, you only have 20% left, what do? You run to plug it in, right? You give it full chance to recharge to 100%. But when you get to 20%, you go, I'm good. I got another 80% I can give. I'm gonna keep going. I don't need to plug in or check out. I can keep going. So treat yourself as well as you treat your cell phone or your car. You get a regular oil change in your car. You fill your fuel tank, whatever metaphor works for you. And the definition, if anybody can type this while I say it, I don't type and speak well at the same time, but if one of you would be willing to put this in the chat, that would be great. This is from my teacher, Renee Trudeau, and her definition is, self-care is the art of attuning and responding to your needs and desires moment by moment. I'll say it again. The art of attuning and responding to your needs and desires moment by moment. We could spend an entire hour on that, and we are in some ways, because I have many words bolded in that definition. Did we get it? The art of attuning and responding to your needs and desires moment by moment. Thank you, Sadie Ann. Perfect. And I'm just going to put Renee Trudeau so you have her name. Excellent. All right, 2 of you. Appreciate that. Thank you. So it's an art. It's not something that comes to us naturally. It's a practice. It's something we have to work at. We have to learn. We have to develop. Attuning and responding to our needs and desires. Okay, let's break that down. Number 1, needs and desires. What? I have needs and desires? Oh yeah, I do. Okay, so it's knowing I have needs and desires. And people are usually okay with the needs part, but so they sometimes balk at the desires. Is that really part of this? Do I really have to look at what I want? Yes, because we all have needs and desires. So it's knowing we have them. It's giving ourselves permission to have them and not feel like there's something wrong. You are not a needy person for having needs and desires. You are not weak. We all have them. And then the attuning and responding part. Okay, I've literally talked to people who know what their needs are. They can name them. And this can be as simple as, I know I need to go to the bathroom in the middle of the workday. I've literally done staff retreats where people will say, I do not take a break to go to the bathroom all day long. I do not eat lunch away from my desk. I do not eat all day. So they know, they feel the hunger, they feel the need to pee, and they're like, nope. They push it down. So the attuning and responding, really important to go together. Notice what it is and then do something about it. And maybe sometimes doing something about it is, okay, I'm going to schedule a massage next week because I know I need that. I'm going to schedule an acupuncture appointment. But notice it and do something about it. And then the moment-to-moment part is where it brings it into your daily life. I know one of you said, I want to know how to bring self-care into my workday or into my daily life. This is where it becomes part of every interaction. When somebody makes a request of you or somebody comes at you with an attack, you can stop and practice self-care because it's as simple as going, well, whoa, wait a minute. How do I feel? You know, you take a breath. It's literally a breath pause. But what do I need? What do I want? How do I feel about that? And then self-care might be saying, let me get back to you. Again, we're breaking the reactivity spin cycle, which would just react and give an answer, even if it wasn't a well thought out one. But self-care gives you time to really tune in and say, well, no, this is true for me, or this is what I need. Or let me think about it and I'll get back to you. Yeah, So I have 5 key steps. We already talked about the first one. First one is to pause and tune in. Break the reactive spin cycle. The second one is to ask yourself, to ask your body, mind, heart, and spirit. What do you need? And be willing to be surprised. It's not always what you think it is. And it can be as simple as, I need kale, or as profound as, I need a week of peace, right? I mean, don't look for like the deepest, biggest, mind-blowing answer. Sometimes it's, I need a drink of water. I need a drink of water right now. My mouth is getting dry. If I keep talking to you without doing that, we're going to be in trouble. So pause, ask. Number 3, I have in bolds, in caps, listen. We have this wise guidance with us all of the time, but we don't stop to ask. So your wise self is there waiting to give you answers. It's just, we don't always have that relationship. We don't have that line of communication open. So it's learning to ask and then actually paying attention to the answer. And then respond. Number 4 is respond. So there's the responding piece. I asked, I got an answer. Now what do I do? And your response could be to blow it off completely, but you know there's going to be consequences for that. So even if you're mindful about that, even if it's for me, like, okay, I'm going to sit down and have a bowl of cheese puffs tonight while I watch TV. I know I'm not going to feel great after that, but I am mindfully choosing to do that because right now I'm feeling stressed and I'm going to eat my feelings. Okay. That could be self-care. That doesn't sound healthy to anybody, I'm sure, but if I enjoy it and I let myself enjoy it, I think it is self-care. If I eat it anyway and beat myself up for it, that's not self-care. And so number 5 is to pause again and acknowledge yourself. And in coaching, we have this word celebrate, which I think sounds like you have to throw yourself a party, but it can be as simple as just saying, well, I did what I said I was going to do. I did listen to myself. I did give myself that time that I needed. I did say no to that person. Thank you, Jody. She just typed the steps up there in the chat, so if anybody needs that. So I want to give you a moment to try this. And I'm going to ask you to just close your eyes if that's comfortable. Put your hands on your heart if that's comfortable. I do this all the time as a way to come into myself. If that feels weird, put your hands on your thigh or give yourself a little hug or do something else that is some way of touching yourself with kindness and compassion. You can hold your own hands. And I'm going to give you 3 quick questions. And you can jot down the answers or you can just let them drop in. But the first response is your answer. Again, don't go searching for a better answer, thinking it needs to be more than this. So if I put my hands on my heart, I go, first question, how do I feel? So in this moment, just tune in with yourself. How do you feel in this moment of time, in this moment of your life? And make a note of what you feel, mentally or actually write it down. The second question, what do I need? Give yourself permission to ask what you need, again, in this moment or in this moment of life. If you get an answer that surprises you, that's when you know you've gone beyond the mind and you've tapped something deeper. The third one is simply, what would I love or what do I want? Whichever one of those you like. What would I love or what do I want? Giving yourself permission to want, to dream. You can do that anytime, anywhere. And Jody's being the awesome scribe. I so appreciate that. Thank you. How do I feel? What do I need? What do I want? And I learned this from my teacher, Renee Trudeau, and she said she carries a little notebook around with her. And so, you know, if she gets a phone call or she gets a request or something comes up, an opportunity arises, sometimes even a really great opportunity, it's still worth taking the pause and tuning in. So she'll just do her little journaling in her little notebook. So then I want to offer you some simple things you can do to begin to build this practice of self-care, which I saw a lot of you say that's why you're here. You know about it, you want to build it, you want new ideas. One of the things that came to me, and this holds so much, and I think you can take it in so many different directions, is to treat yourself like a small child that you love. Give yourself timeouts. Like so many of these things that kids have that they feel are punishments, we as adults, if we offer these to ourselves, it's like the best self-care. Go to your room for 15 minutes. Oh, I get to go to my room for 15 minutes? Awesome. I'm going to take that time out. I'm not going to respond to you right now because I'm not in a place to do that. Let yourself take a nap. 20 minutes of lying down is really restorative, whether you fully sleep or not. Just getting horizontal gives the adrenals a chance to ease up, settle down. Give yourself healthy snacks and meals. See, I mean, the kids wouldn't like any of these first three things I've said, but we would. Quiet time, right? When the kids stop taking the naps, and then we switch to, okay, but you still have to take quiet time in the afternoon, honey, because mommy needs it. Quiet time before bed, you know, like we hate it when the uncle comes over and winds everybody up before sleep time. So you want to give yourself that same quiet time before you try to go to sleep. What are you putting into your being, your mind, your body? What are you taking in before you try to sleep? What are you thinking about as you fall asleep? So give yourself some nice, beautiful quiet time. Get outside. Nature is one of the best self-care tools there is. That fresh air, sunshine, even if it's just to step out on the stoop and take a breath in the middle of a workday, that counts. Make time for play and fun. This doesn't have to be a serious endeavor. Again, you're living life now, and you've probably been very serious, very, very driven, very focused to get to this moment in time. Great, but lighten up. Like, invite in some laughter and some fun and some play, especially when the world feels so heavy. Humor is everything. Oh my gosh. Slow down and be with what's in front of you. If you think of a really little child, you know, they can squat in front of a toy or a flower, and they're just like totally absorbed in this one little thing. Whereas we're already off to the 95 other things we need to be doing. So really let yourself be with what's right here in front of you. Tune into your needs and desires. I bring this back to the little kid because they don't have any problem knowing and expressing what their needs and desires are. If they're hungry, you're going to know it. If they need the diaper changed, you're going to know it. If they are not happy with you, you're going to know it, right? If they want that thing, they're going to let you know. So pay attention. Feel your feelings. This is the other thing I love about kids. I mean, they scream when they need to. They cry when they feel sad or hurt. They laugh. They let those emotions out. They haven't yet learned to be socially appropriate, to box them in, to hold them back. And we have so much conditioning that has made us be socially acceptable and presentable and to be who we are so that other people will like us and think we're okay. And when we bottle up all those feelings, that is not healthy. They are staying inside of you and they're eating at you and they don't go away. So don't kid yourself into thinking you can just push them away. They need to move through you. Cast recently in unlocking call, it's like stress and burnout. And they talk about emotions being like a tunnel, going into a tunnel. And the stress comes in when we get stuck in the tunnel. But if we actually stay with the emotion and we move through it, big emotions only last for 90 seconds. It's the stories that we tell about the big emotions that keep them going for days and months and years. How awful it is that this happened to me. How awful it is that I let myself feel this way. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I expressed that. You know, we carry it on and we can amplify it and magnify it and keep it. Move in ways that delight you. Again, thinking of the little kids, they spin, they dance, they twirl, they go out in the rain and stomp through mud puddles. I don't want to do that again, but I loved it when I was a little girl, so maybe I would like it again. I don't know. But if dance is your thing and that's how you want to get exercise, then dance or skipping or walking or horseback riding. You know, you don't have to go to the gym because that's what people do. There are other ways to move your body. Find what makes your body happy. Limit your technology. And, you know, obviously we're on technology to do this, but to the extent that you can. And when you're going to watch shows or movies, I really encourage you to at least balance out the heavy documentaries and the serious dramas with some fun, uplifting movies. Watch some kids' movies. Honestly, my husband and I watched Trolls and Trolls 2 recently, and it was just this beautiful little happiness break. Sheer joy, delight, good music, fun. So I highly recommend them. Hugs and cuddles. Like, little kids know that they need to be held. They need to have hugs. And of course, we're in a time where contact is limited right now. So learning to give yourself a hug is not nearly as satisfying, but it's something. But cuddling up with an animal or a stuffed animal or another person, whatever you got, give yourself, I've heard we need at least 8 hugs a day. And I'm pretty sure we're probably not getting them right now. And ask for help and get support. Don't think that you need to go it alone. Whether that's from friends or whether that's hiring a coach or going to see a healthcare professional, you're not in this alone. Kids ask for help when they get stuck. So that's the end of my little kid rant. But I just think if you forget anything, go back into that little child. I'm not going to read the chats because that'll distract me, but I'm glad you're posting things up there and we'll send it on. So the adult ideas I have for you. Disconnect from your technology. Turn your phone off when you're not available. Let yourself have that boundary. We have these cell phones and we now think that we are supposed to be available 24/7. We are supposed to answer a text immediately. We are supposed to answer a phone call immediately. You don't have to do business all the hours of the day. And when my son was in the throes of his addiction and on the streets, I turned my phone off at night. Not at first, but then I went through too many sleepless nights and I finally got to the point where, like, okay, A, nothing good happens after midnight. B, if something horrible happens, I'm going to need my sleep. I will turn my phone on again in the morning. And I mean, that was not an easy thing to come to by any means, because it's, well, what if he dies in the night? Well, he'll still be dead in the morning and I'll be there. And that sounds absolutely horrible. But the truth is, I knew I would need to be nourished to deal with anything. So that's the extreme example of that. Leave it outside of your room at night. If you're recharging your phone in your room right now and it's the first thing you reach for in the morning, get it out of your room. Put it in another room, because you don't want to go to bed with that as your last thing and you don't want to wake up with that as the first thing. Take away that pressure that you have to respond immediately. I tell my clients too, I'm like, you can text me anytime or day or night because my phone is off. I won't answer you until I'm really available. Again, that trustworthiness. If you have a thing at 3 in the morning you want to tell me about, great, but my phone is not going to ping. Just not. Lower the bar. And this is one that a lot of really driven, perfectionistic, hardworking women who have soldiered through so much have a hard time with. But I really encourage you to lower the bar. Stop raising it on yourself. Well, I did that thing, now I need to do the next thing. No, I'm just going to do this much. And then after I do this much, I can decide if I want to do more. But the first step is to make it attainable. Baby steps, little things. I'm going to invite you to begin and end your day with intention. Gratitude is one of my most favorite practices in all the world. And if you take nothing else away from this, waking up with gratitude in the morning and just thinking, if you can't think of anything, just thinking of the fact that you're waking up. Start there. I'm grateful that I woke up and I have another day. Go to bed with gratitude. So reflect on, instead of all the things that you didn't do and the things that you did wrong and the things that you wish you hadn't said, I'm grateful for these 3 things. Put yourself to sleep with that. Wayne Dyer has a great, I love Wayne Dyer if you can't tell, has a great 5-minute video about, or it's about the 5 minutes before you go to sleep. And he talks about, what are you putting into your brain before you try to sleep? Is that what you want percolating for the next 7 or 8 hours? Or would you rather have it be a little nicer? So you might want to look that up. Intention setting, what I mean by that is, like, every morning as I do my morning journaling, I just kind of think about my day and what's my intention for today. Like today, my intention is presence. It's not a to-do, but it's a quality of being. So today I know I was going to be with all of you and you had a client. I wanted to be present. Could be peace. If you can't think of anything, love is a really great intention. And it's not something you work at, but you could check in with yourself and be like, my intention was peace today. Is this really peaceful? Is this really the way I want to respond to this? Or for 1 month, I went through this whole thing of asking, what would love do? Because it's a very different answer than what would cranky me do. So if love is your intention, you can ask, what would love do? What would peace do? You might want to start and end your day with a little bit of stretching, some meditation or prayer. And honestly, if you start with only 1 minute of meditation, and knowing that meditation doesn't mean you have to stop your thoughts, but it's just being present to what is really here in this moment and letting yourself embody this moment and build up from there, that will change your brain. Gratitude will change your brain. It will change your neural pathways. You'll start looking for things to be grateful for. You'll start experiencing your life differently. You'll be able to live through horrors and say, I'm still grateful. You need some water in the morning because you're probably dehydrated from all those hours with no water. You give yourself some time off of screens on both ends of the day. So before you pick up your phone, before you go to your email, be intentional with how you are entering into your day. Maybe you do want to do just a few minutes of journaling. Maybe you want to do a full 3 pages of Julia Cameron's morning pages like I do. It's 3 full pages of stream of consciousness writing. It empties out your brain and it blows your mind that you could possibly have 3 full notebook-sized pages of paper to write upon waking. I see Tracy saying it's true. She's done it. But give yourself a little wind up time and a little wind down time. So both ends. Get off screens before you go to bed. Stay off screens before you come into your day. Permission. Some people have a reaction to that word, but I say giving yourself permission. What do you need to give yourself permission for in your life? To be kind, caring, compassionate, and responsive to yourself. Taking life 1 moment at a time. Some of the 12-step programs, well, all of them, as far as I know, talk about 1 day at a time. And what I have found is that 1 day really has way too many moments in it. So I break it down to 1 moment at a time. And then it also allows me to be present. Okay, in this moment, I'm on this call with these great women. Nothing else matters. This is what's happening. If something else is going on out there, it's going on, but my attention is here. So in this moment is one of my self-care tools as well, to really bring yourself into, well, wait a minute, in this moment, I'm safe. Because the mind can go off into the past and the future. But if you can come into the breath and the body and be in this moment, you can only do that here and now. So you got to kind of bring the mind back to this place. Choice is a really important self-care tool to know about. Empower yourself to take charge of your inner peace and your well-being. Remembering and recognizing that you are at choice. Always. And the choices or not choosing have consequences. And that's kind of a good news, bad news thing. Because it can be easy to blame the other people and the other things and the situations, and that happened, and so I'm not okay. But when we realize that that can all happen and I still get to choose how I respond to that, I get to choose how I get to be within that. Doesn't mean I'm never sad or upset or sick, but I have a choice of how I respond. So tuning into your choices and how your choices will affect your well-being, from that place you can choose wisely. Again, I've already given you my cheese puff example. Like, I can have my bowl of pirate's booty or eat the whole little bag. My choice. I know what's going to happen. I know the consequences. We already talked about the idea of that you only have so much time, energy, and resources, but I'll say it again. Just remember that, recognize that. We often have these wake-up calls in our life. Somebody dies, somebody gets an illness, a diagnosis, and we go, oh yeah, life is short. I remember that now. And then we go back to business as usual. So not in a bad way, knowing that time is limited and our resources are limited, but cherishing them, savoring them, choosing how to spend them is important. Pause is on here again. I've said it 95 times. I'll say it again. Get out of the spin reactivity and stepping back. You get a perspective when you pause. You can step back. You can feel into what feels right. Knowing that everything that you take in, you have to digest or process. Not just your food, but what you're reading, what you're looking at, what you're listening to, who you're talking to, all of that has to come into your being and be digested and processed and integrated. So are you giving yourself time to digest and process, or are you just like, nope, I'm on to the next thing and pushing through when really, again, your body needs to take a break? Tracy's a runner, so I mean, pretty sure if you just eat a ginormous meal, you know it's not wise to go out there and run right away. You actually have to digest and then you go do the thing. Same thing with if you're taking in a bunch of stuff, new information, have to have that time to integrate, time to pause, time to digest. Get into your breath in your body. I already said that you can only breathe in this moment and you can only be in your body in this moment. That was profound when somebody said that to me. It was one of my yoga teachers. I'm like, oh yeah, good point. Like my mind can be a million places when I'm on my yoga mat, but if I'm in my body, I'm right here. And then begin again. I would just offer that up to you. So remembering in any moment, we're living life one moment at a time, we can begin again. So it's not that I ate the pirate's booty and now I've blown my diet and I might as well go on a full out binge. No, next choice I make can be different. Or I just had this blow up with a person. Okay, now I get to revisit it. I get to apologize. I get to address it. Begin again is always available to you. You get infinite begin agains for as long as you're alive. And I will reiterate again, don't wait. The time is now because life is happening now. So really let go of any notion of when or if. There's never going to be a perfect time to make your self-care a priority. This is about supporting yourself in this moment to the best of your ability, or you are no good for anyone or anything else. And Brene Brown in The Gifts of Imperfection writes about this, and she writes about her own reckoning with this idea that coming to terms with the reality that she really couldn't love her boys and her family, or she has a daughter too, but her kids or her husband any more than she loved herself. And I think she was downright pissed about it because she really wanted to believe that she could just love them with all her heart and she didn't have to deal with this piece with herself. But I trust her because she does do the research. You know, she's well researched. She doesn't put anything out there until she knows it to be true, even if she really can't stand it to be true. So, and again, it's those moments where she's like, damn it, I wish this wasn't true, but I know it is. So I have to share it with the world. So before we end and go to question time, to give you another chance. So if you have something to write with, I invite you to have that now. I want you to just take a moment to tune in and thinking about this notion of self-care as holistic. So body, mind, heart, and spirit. Let me just speak to each of those a little bit. So body's pretty clear, right? Nutrition, exercise, rest. I think you know what your body needs. Your heart is that center of emotion and relationship with other people. So what does your heart need for you to tend to, for yourself, for your own tender heart? But it's also looking at the relationships in your life. It's looking at, am I spending my time with people who fill me up, inspire me, uplift me? Or am I spending a lot of time with people that bring me down? And sometimes we have those people in our life and we can't choose to completely get rid of them, but do I need to limit my time? You know, where's the balance there? Being with your own emotions. That's what the heart's all about. Then your mind. Sometimes your mind needs to be challenged. It needs you to take on a new hobby. It needs to learn a new language or, you know, be stretched in some way. And sometimes it needs to rest. So sometimes serving the mind is about going out in nature, taking a walk, or just breathing, meditating, pausing, being. All of these can have an active component. Sometimes the body needs to nap, sometimes it needs to move, right? So it could be an active response or a more gentle, passive response. And the spirit is the hardest one to define because there probably aren't words for it, but it's really that life force energy in you. I don't see this as a religious thing, though it might be for you. It could be your connection to God or universe or higher power, whatever. But that sense that you're not in this alone, but that life force energy, like what does your life force energy need? What does your spirit need? And sometimes that is nourished through prayer and meditation and nature. Sometimes your spirit's nourished by helping other people if you're filled up enough. So that's the background on those. So now I want you to tune in and think about body, mind, heart, and spirit, and just get curious. Is there one of those areas that really is calling for your attention right now? And just see what comes up. It might surprise you. And jot that down. And if you get nothing, just keep asking the question. But imagining that you got an answer to that question, the next thing I would ask is, what does it need or want? And I will type these in the chat so that Jody can do the exercise. And so the first one is body, mind, heart, or spirit is one calling for my attention right now. Ask it what it needs or wants. Again, not going to the mind for the answer, even if it is the mind that came up. You don't want to think about it. You want the answer to drop in. What does it need or want? And then what is one action it would have me take? And an action could be changing a mindset. An action could be letting go of something, rescheduling something. Again, doesn't have to be about piling on something more. But ask that part of you, the body, mind, heart, or spirit, what's one action it would have you take? And writing it down just is helpful because it anchors it in. And the next piece is, I want you to make a promise to yourself or a commitment to yourself just for this week, reflecting on everything we've just talked about with self-care, everything you've taken in. Maybe you're curious about exploring one thing, or you know one thing would be really helpful for you. So I promise myself, make a promise to yourself. Share some of what I'm seeing in the chat after we're done, but I promise myself this is really important. And then the last one is, I give myself permission. What do you want to give yourself permission for? And that can be just to have more fun, to lighten up, to go to bed earlier, to say no. What's yours? Before we go on to the next part of the program, I'm so proud of myself. We're actually a few minutes ahead of time here. So I would love to hear from you what you're taking away. What's a nugget of gold that you're going to walk away from? Because for two reasons. One is, if you give it voice, you're going to remember it more likely. And second, you're going to spur somebody else's ideas. So this is where feel free to say, oh yeah, I didn't think of that, and take that idea. Julia Cameron calls this grand larceny. My group the other day was like, oh, you're in favor of grand larceny. That's great. I'm like, yeah, let me be clear. That's on stealing ideas, not actual grand larceny. So let's just go around. And for anyone who would like to, we don't have to get to everybody, but who would like to share one takeaway? Carol, I see your hand up.
Yes, I'm just promising myself to dance, and I'm giving myself permission to dance. When I tuned in, it's my body that I'm focusing on, and movement, and that's what I'm feeling that I need right now. So I'm going to dance.
And we can all see your joy and feel your energy in saying that. So thank you for declaring that. Who else? Sadie Ann. Mm-hmm.
One thing that resonates with me, I never can fall asleep to take a nap. Never, never, never. So I just don't do it. But I realize now I won't have to lose out on the benefit, and just simply lying down for about 10 or 20 minutes. I think that will make a big difference and relieve some of the stress that makes me want to fall asleep.
Nice.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Who else? Kim. Kim, Tracy's sister-in-law, who's muted.
Kim? You have to
You're muted, Kim. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Sorry. I'm not really good with technology.
You're getting there.
I think what I took away from it is that, and I do it at the end of the day where I think about what I did and, you know, all the good things that happened, but I don't really do it in the morning. So what I took from it is that when I wake up in the morning, instead of saying, you know, everything that's going on, to think about something that I'm grateful for, that I'm thankful for.
Game changer.
Yeah.
Let me know, because it,
Okay.
yeah, I love that.
I like
Entering your day, absolutely. Entering your day intentionally, mindfully, with gratitude is huge. Thank you. Yep. Who else?
Jody.
Oh, Jody, yeah.
To what Kim said, I will share a little affirmation that I wake up every morning. Well, not every single morning, but most mornings I try to thank you for this beautiful day, which I now embrace and enjoy. And it's like the first thing I wake up in the morning. Thank you for this beautiful day. I change it up. Thank you for this magnificent day. Thank you for this uplifting day that I now embrace and enjoy.
Love it.
But Barb and I had a conversation yesterday, and I'm still on the takeaway with the oxygen mask. I'm still on that one because that is so ingrained in me that yes, we take care of ourselves first. And to have that myth broken, that is not actually self-care. I'm still processing, digesting that one. And that to me is huge because that was kind of my idea. That's my idea of self-care. So it's really causing me to, you know, say, well, maybe that's not really self-care. So thank you for that, Barb. That was
so welcome.
That was huge yesterday. That was huge. And to hear it again today, you know, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. One more?
I'll go if nobody else is going to go.
Sure.
What I like to do at night before I go to bed, and I'm Catholic, I always wear my little rosary beads. I like to walk through the beginning of my day to the end as far as I can go. Usually I fall asleep. And thank God for whatever it was that I noticed during the day that was good. So it could be like I bike ride, and it could be that it was the wind, you know, felt really refreshing. It could be the guy that stood behind me at Costco who talked to me about something. It could be, so it's like I try to look at all the moments of the day that just kind of pop into my head. And it's just a wonderful way to kind of have just a thankful moment at the end of the day. And I usually drift off to sleep thinking of these just wonderful moments.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if Jill is that relaxed.
I think she must be asleep.
I'm thinking she really is taking some self-care right now. I love it.
Good.
She had some hip surgery recently, so I'm thinking maybe that's filtered in a little bit into her. She's so wonderful. She showed up, you talk about a wonderful person. She showed up the 23rd mile of the Boston Marathon, yelled my name and gave me a hug. Didn't know she was going to be there, had no idea. Have this awesome picture of her and I hugged right as I needed that energy to go 3.2 more miles. So we'll let her rest.
Lovely. Lovely. Do you want to do Q&A now, Tracy, or you want to do something else and then do a question?
I want Jody to be able to just talk for a few minutes about what she has to offer that's sort of not similar to what you offer, but along the same lines. And then I think we can have some Q&A. So Jody.
Yeah, Jody, thank you for sponsoring. You weren't here when we said that at the beginning, but.
I still don't know where my Zoom link went. Thank you for finally. I searched my email for 20 minutes, couldn't find the link. Thank you for sending it to me again. In January, I am launching a pilot course called Maintaining Emotional Wellness During the Pandemic. And part of the reason this is special to me is because I consider myself to be a relatively well-balanced, well-rounded, healthy person. And I know how hard it's been for me to get through this pandemic. So I feel like, my gosh, if it's been this hard for me, imagine people who are having any kind of issue at all. And I have, it's a 4-week course. It's going to be meeting on Sunday evenings at 7 o'clock. It's a $97 course, but Women Ties members get a 20% discount. It's an hour long for each of the 4 weeks, and we'll be covering topics like gratitude, making connections, exercising routines, meditation, all different things. And it's going to draw a lot on my personal experience, things that have helped me, but just also things in general that I've read from other places as well. And if you think you might be interested in the course, I'm also doing collecting information and people's opinions on, wow, if there were a course like that, what would I like to see in that? If anybody would like to share their opinions about what they'd like to see in some kind of a course like that, I'm still putting it together, and I would welcome any input you'd be willing to give me. So, and I also would like to share, I don't know if, did you guys do sharing at the beginning of the businesses, or they're doing that later?
We did a short, because we had, but you're a sponsor, so you can most certainly share more.
Well, thank you. I just always like to share about my business, Holy Education. It comes from it's a play on words, because it comes from the fact that I discovered about 10 or 12 years ago, the word heal, H-E-A-L, whole, W-H-O-L-E, and holy, H-O-L-Y, all come from the same root word, an Old English word, hal, H-A-L. And that, discovering that piece of information just made me go like, wow, can you imagine a time when those 3 concepts were so intertwined that we only needed one word for all of them? And I'm going to keep saying this. Barb says if you give voice to something, it makes you do it more. I have been working on a book for the past 10 or 12 years since I found this out. And someday I'm going to finish it. How did these concepts become so disintegrated? And now I think with the whole idea of holistic medicine and holistic health and holistic everything, I think we're reintegrating the concepts. And I work a lot with health and spirituality, how they're combined. And in fact, there is a magazine, I don't have it right here with me. It's called Spirituality and Health. And in the mission statement of the magazine, it says, we know that the 3 words heal, whole, and holy all come from the same root word, hal. It's like it's my magazine. I'm gonna go on for another minute because I'm a sponsor and I can do that. The book person, Sharon Cassano-Lockman, who is another Women Ties member, did an event a couple of weeks ago, and she said one of the ways, if you want to write a book, one of the ways to gain credibility is to start writing for magazines. So she has inspired me. I want to start writing for this Spirituality and Health magazine. And I'm kind of thinking that if I write articles and they're accepted, I'm in effect writing my book, if I can write a little bit. And so, all right, so that's all I'll say. Thank you very much for that.
And you're an ordained.
I'm an ordained minister. Yes, I do weddings. If anybody needs a wedding officiant, I am available, mask and all.
And thank you so much for sponsoring, Jody. I hope that everybody will, one of the reasons I offered this free is because Jody's sponsorship will pay for, the work that I put into the program so far. But please pay attention to what she offers and support her and help her, because, we couldn't do a lot of the things that we do without some type of revenue coming in. So I appreciate very much, Jody, your sponsorship, and of course, Barb, your presentation. Let me check my time. It's 1:28, so we could open it. I have about 5 minutes of time to close out the program, which I want to make sure I have time to do. But does anybody have just questions for Barb? You can just unmute yourselves. Have questions for Barb, questions for anybody else on this program, anything that you want to share or you're going to be walking away with. This is your time to be able to do that.
I'll share. Barb, your use of metaphors and your examples of everyday life things took concepts and put them into form where my brain was like, well, that's easy to do. I'll just like put the phone outside my bedroom and not look at it, because I do have morning and evening rituals, but when you said something about that, I realized that that would help me do them first instead of, checking if anyone contacted me. So what I felt like a lot of the information was very grounding for me to be able to put it into form. So I took a lot of notes, and then I'll sort it through and put it into action. So thank you.
Great. Oh, you're welcome. I'm so glad to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Anybody else?
I'll share. A lot of you don't know that I had a major life decision about 5 years ago, and I had a knee reconstruction. So that was a big thing for me, and I wanted to decide how I would deal with that. I was young enough that I wanted to still be able to walk, so I decided to make a health and lifestyle change. And a lot of my friends told me it would kill me. Sorry, they're wrong. 5 years later, I'm still here. I'm happy and I'm healthy. So keep in mind, not everyone in your inner circle will approve of what you're doing, and it's okay. Trust me, it works.
Yeah.
Take it 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 day at a time, and do for you, because you will thank yourself later.
Mm-hmm.
Well said.
And like Barb said, I treat it as it's a journey. She says if something goes wrong, you just start over. So to me, it's a journey. You call it start anew. It's the same thing. Just it's okay. Give yourself permission, and it helps.
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. A living testimonial. It's good to gather that evidence of like, oh, somebody really did it and it really did work.
Right. Anybody else here? Like Sharon? Okay. Then can you help me right now? At least I want to thank, because I have a few things to say, but I would rather, before I start my stuff, can you help me thank, applause, clapping, jazz hands, Barb for her wonderful presentation. Yeah, oh yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you
Ooh,
so
celebration. I like that.
I know, now you're making me go out and bike in the snow, because I'm like, well, that's what I want to do. So hopefully I won't break my leg.
Don't do that.
I drive to Stanford on Friday to pick up my sons, which you made me think I offered to do that. And even though now I wish I wasn't doing that necessarily, I still have to go because it was a verbal commitment. So anyways, thank you for that. I wanted just a few things. Upcoming events, we have, if you're a member of Women Ties, we now do monthly meeting onlys on the 2nd of every month at noon. And that's to give Women Ties members a chance to really get to know each other, since we're not doing live events during the pandemic. And if there's something you want to promote for holiday sales or for 2021 services, it's a great place to come on board and talk about what you have to offer. On 12/8, we have a unique program. It's called Become a Thought Leader and Learn to Lead. I know Teresa knows this program. I'm thinking that it's Live to Lead, not Learn to Lead. With Barb Stone, who is one of our members who has Build Your Path, but she is part of, that was a Jack Canfield program, and Kat Cole, who is a national female speaker and COO of Focus Brands, is part of this presentation. Barb saw it. It's a tape presentation with Kat Cole, and then Barb is going to lead the conversation afterwards about what it's like to become a thought leader. And I love this idea going into 2021, because I feel like it might set intentions for hopefully a new year with a different positive outlook. I know we still have some things we have to work through, but you know, maybe if you thought that you want to become a thought leader, this would be a great program for you. So that's on 12/8 at noon. If you're not a Women Ties member and you're interested in becoming a member, we have 35 PR tools that you can use year round to promote what you do. And if you're interested in that, if you join within the next week, I give $50 off as a thank you for joining this program and then joining membership. Remember that you have the sales contact list of everybody that was on this call today. I'm also going to save this file of chats over here. So if somebody shared their email addresses or something else, you'll be getting that as well as this taped recording. Just remember that there are a lot of, we can't do business with everyone, but there are at least 2 or 3 women on this call that you could connect with in some other way. Maybe there's something you could cross promote together or just talk about because you have similar businesses. Maybe you can buy something, a product or a service, or sell something. And so that's what the sales contact list is meant to do. Networking in time like this is great, but again, for the Women Ties mission, where we're trying to put money in the hands of women entrepreneurs, it's a great way to do some follow through. And I think I've been called a woman entrepreneur matchmaker because there are some women who have met who just are such a good friends through all the years that they've been connected through Women Ties. I get really excited when I find out that people have really formed strong friendships from this organization. And finally, please remember if you have money that you're spending for holiday purchases, to try to spend at least 50% of your purchases with women-owned businesses or small businesses, both who have suffered during the pandemic. And I know it's easier to not go out into the world and order something from Mint and Lily, which I did do because it was a bracelet that I had that I wanted to replicate for my 2 probably future daughter-in-laws. But if you can do something specifically with your money by spending it with somebody in your own town that's a female-owned business, or checking with me, or going through Women Ties, that would be really, really terrific. And please share that message. I am going to, I think if you want to unmute, all of you unmute yourselves. I just really want to give one big round of applause to both Barb and Jody one last time as we stop this program. I don't know if I can unmute you all. I muted you all. I can't unmute you all. So again, one more time, if you could give loud claps for Barb and Jody and the hoo-hoo. Yeah, I like that one, please. Hoo-hoo.
And to yourselves for being here.
Yes, and for all of you for being here. And as Barb would say, making yourself a priority today.
Could I close this with a poem?
Oh, yes.
Would that be okay?
Yes. So here we go. I will calm down again.
Sorry.
No liking. No, we're turning it over to Barb.
Just one more. All right, this is from my book called 111 Invitations, and this one is called The Angels Want. The angels want us to belly laugh till it hurts, exploding in silent reverie with tears streaming down our cheeks. The angels want us to embrace all that is, the richness of human experience, the fullness of life, the depth and breadth of emotion, longing, and yearning. The angels want us to remember who we are, why we are here, and that love is our fuel. The angels want us to dance and sing with wild abandon, letting go of the cares of the world, arms reaching wide, face uplifted to the heavens, heart open. The angels want us to love with all our heart, even though love always hurts, to take the risk, to glean the gold. The angels want us to remember what it is that makes our soul sing, to play with our exquisite, unique heart song, to laugh, to cry, to cheer. The angels want us to get lost in extreme ecstasy and bathe in unimaginable grief, allowing the emotions to wash over and through us, cleansing, refreshing, and rebirthing as they flow. The angels want us to live while we are here.
That was beautiful.
Seemed fitting.
So I wish you, on behalf, that's a wonderful way to end. I'm just going to say I wish you all a wonderfully happy and blessed Thanksgiving. You will be in my prayers and my thoughts on Thanksgiving Day. And I look forward to seeing all of you again really soon. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much, Tracy. Thanks, everybody.
very much. It was great.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very, I'm going to turn off, let me turn off the recording here.